And I'm actually very keen on the Women Enterprise Fund. When we move the women, and you know, there are rural women who don't even know how to use these gadgets. There are some who don't even have smartphones. But the kind of business that they're doing, uko mashinani, they really need this fund. And as an MP, because we oversight these funds and we're also patrons, we've been giving them a lot of loans. But now you're moving them to a digital space. You've not done, not you, but I mean, we have not done enough sensitization. It is really limiting. I'd like to pick your mind on that. And then there is very little is known about the Micro and Small Enterprise Authority. It's called MSEA, which is domiciled in the ministry headquarters. They have a ready clientele of more than 7 million the small, medium and small enterprises. What measures can you put in place to ensure that the authority is well resourced so that it becomes more vibrant and more visible? They might be doing a lot, but rarely will their work be profiled. And lastly, what plans do you have, if approved and confirmed by the National Assembly, to reach the unreached in terms of cooperatives? You know, some people think that cooperatives is a monster somewhere. And many Kenyans, especially in the rural and interior parts of this country, have no idea about cooperatives and what it does. I have a text message from a Kenyan who says, I don't want to ask later something from Kenyans, who says that when you were COG chair in 2019, nurses went on strike for 2 weeks and their salaries and statutory deductions and loans were never paid to date. They're asking, they didn't see leadership then when you were chair COG. They're asking whether you find yourself suitable to come again back into leadership.
Koech.
Nominee, mine is straightforward. How will you address the issue of punitive practices by digital lenders towards MSMEs? Considering,
Come again. How
will you address the issue of punitive practices by digital lenders towards MSMEs, considering that while these lenders provide accessible collateral-free loans, they often charge exorbitant interest rates and lead to debt distress. Number two, on a lighter note, Honorable Speaker, is to commend the nominee for his good taste. Recently, it's been a media sensation, and I applaud his good taste on nice things.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You don't have to answer that. Deal with his first question. Yeah. The next member, Posing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Koech should have elaborated what are good things or nice things. Honorable Chair, Speaker, to the nominee, these cooperatives is a very good idea. Of course, it started a long time ago. But these cooperatives are only centered around metropolis or towns or Nairobi, and maybe to few products like milk, little bit milk, but mainly coffee, you know. And the bulk of the population, Honorable Speaker, is in the rural. 70%, 80% of this country is rural. So, Honorable Oparanya, should you get the favor of Parliament, how will these cooperatives, reach our people now where the population is? And number two, and lastly, Hustler Fund. Don't you think, Honorable Oparanya, through the Speaker, is good time to evaluate the distribution of this Hustler Fund, whether they can be linked to M-Pesa services or bank services, so that then when people borrow, it is easier to follow and be able to recover. Thank you, Chair.
Gikaria. Honorable Gikaria.
Thank you, Chairman. To the nominee, the constituency industrial development centers. These were key elements that were going to boost productivity and employment. A better business environment and enhance enterprise skills. Given the budget constraints that have hindered their implementation, what measures will you take to ensure that the ICDCs effectively create employment opportunities and support the SMSEs in the constituencies? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Nominee, you can answer those.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Speaker of the National Assembly. You asked about the Women Enterprise Fund, that it has now been digitalized. What I would say is that at the moment, I will not know what they have done on that fund until now I move in to see. But since you have now raised this question, it's one of the issues that I have to look into. But as you know, the world is now going digital. So the only thing that you can do to these women as a member of parliament, I think, is to sensitize them, let them have the smartphones, and there are organizations that can support in that area. I know because I have done that in my own county with the CHVs. They have been supported with the smartphones, and they are able to transact. But I have said I will have to check. Now, the MCs.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker. Yeah.
Coming?
Yeah, to the nominee.
Yeah.
You know, the Women Enterprise Fund, that money we used to give to Mama Bogas. And those women, they don't know how to use those smartphones you are talking about. And like Nyeri County, Karatina, the women had taken up to 1 million shillings. Now, when they were told again,
Each or collectively?
Collectively. Each group, because they normally take that money as per, in a group of women. Now, when you say that, now again we tell those women to go back and now start doing those applications through the mobile phone, I don't think that is going to work. And that is why even we were trying to approach His Excellency, because we were feeling those women who had already had a business of 1 million, and here you are being told now to go back and apply for 50,000, I don't think that is doable. Thank you.
Lastly, a comment on that, Chairman. And in my view, I think what we are saying is that, yes, we need to move with technology, but can it be gradual? And can it be well thought out in implementing the policies?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hear you. And not everything is cast in stone. You have raised this issue, and if I go to the ministry, I'm going to take it up seriously. You don't need the president to be involved in such an issue. I think I can deal with it appropriately, because the president has more pressing issues than talking about women phones. Talking about women phones.
Honorable Speaker, let him apologize. Women are the pillars of this country.
No, I've said.
He's answering an isolated question. He's not talking about women generally.
I have answered
specific to your question.
The president should not be talking about phones.
To protect the nominee.
Yeah.
He had not finished what he was saying. He just said women, and because I'm close to him, he said women and their phones.
Yeah, yes. I was.
Rahab,
Chairman,
don't be oversensitive.
Chairman, I wanted to tell Rahab that we should leave the president to more pressing issues that affect the country. These issues of women with the phones, this one I can deal with them if you give me a chance. Yeah, why are you nominating me if I cannot deal with such issues? I can deal with it effectively.
To the next.
Yeah.
Yes, Junet.
Yeah, I agree with him, but is the nominee insinuating that the gender docket also can be added to here, or what?
That is with a light touch. Go on, answer the other questions.
Now, the SMEs authority, there is an authority act. And as I have said earlier, these SMEs were scattered in various ministries. You could find some intervention in the Ministry of Youth, some intervention in the Ministry of Trade and Industrialization, some intervention in the Ministry of Water, etc. this is the first time that the president has thought it wise to put them into one ministry. And because now they are in one ministry, the authority is now going to effectively to deal with them. And these are self-financing institutions. They finance themselves. Mr. Speaker, what the ministry does is to provide, to make sure that they are formalized, they are properly registered. The ministry helps them to register or to formalize themselves from informal to formal. And then to ensure that they get licenses, to train them so that there is financial literacy, they know how to handle finances, but we do not allocate money for them because they are supposed to get money from financial institutions or from the funds that are created, Weso Fund, Women Fund, or the Hustler Fund. In terms of cooperatives, cooperatives is one of the oldest institutions in this country. Cooperatives in this country started in 1908. It started in Lumbwa there, and it was a dairy cooperative which came up to be the present KCC. So cooperatives are also self-financing. They raise money by themselves. What we do, what the ministry does, is to make sure that cooperatives operate transparently, they are accountable to the members, so the ministry oversights them to make sure that those mandates they are formed for are being achieved. That's what it does. We also help them to access cheap funds, either from these other funds that are there, like the Hustler Fund. We help them also provide OTC services, but they have had a problem, management problem, and that's why most of them have collapsed. At the moment, we have 30,000 registered cooperatives, but only out of that 30,000, only 10,000 are active. And at the moment, Mr. Chairman, to show that this particular sector is very important for this country, they have those 30,000 that are there registered, they have an asset base of 1.7 billion Kenya shillings, which is nearly a half of the Kenyan budget. And from there, from that amount, they have been able to lend out to members 1.1 billion. And from that money, they have been able to save 1 billion, which is 30% of the total things in this country. So this movement of cooperatives is very important, and I will encourage members of parliament who are here that this is the time, if you give me a chance to serve in this ministry, I must involve you so that we are able to register more people in the cooperative, because this is the only way that will save this country. And that's why now cooperatives have become a pillar for micro and small enterprises. The cooperative is the base, and the SMEs are the pillar, because the SMEs are able to borrow from cooperatives for their either if they are for their personal development or for the development of the SME in question. Issues of punitive lenders as raised by Honorable Koech, this is known, it is there, and this is one of the factors that have made most of the cooperative collapse, because they access very expensive loans. They are not able to service those loans. Majority of them have collapsed because of the loans and because of course, mismanagement. And that's why the ministry is taking precautions to ensure that these cooperatives now come together and form a central liquidity facility where they all put their money, and if they want to borrow, then they will go and borrow in that central liquidity.
Isn't that why
facility.
the cooperative bank was set up?
Yes. No, cooperative bank operates as a commercial bank at the moment. Why cooperative bank is owned by the cooperative movement, 65% of the shares, but it operates under the Banking Act. It operates under the Banking Act. So it is not treated as a cooperative as such. So it is out of that. But Chairman, because it is owned by the cooperative, it supports cooperative movements on many other issues. Now, Honorable Singh raised the issue of cooperatives are only in towns. I can assure you that cooperatives are everywhere. Now, you have to, actually cooperative, even the mamambokas come together, the table banking, that is part of actually cooperation. That is what graduates to be a big cooperative. But that kind of collaboration, whether in whichever village, and you will find this cooperation is everywhere, even in small villages. But what I think you are saying, you are thinking of a formal big cooperative. I can assure you that if you give me, you are able to vet me and you give me this chance, I will come to your constituency, West Pokot South, isn't it? And that's where I was born. And I will help you form cooperatives in that particular region. I will sensitize the people there so that they are able to form cooperatives. You have talked of Hustler Fund. Honourable members, I don't want to talk much about Hustler Fund. I've clearly committed myself that as I go to the ministry, I will look at the various issues, because a fund like that losing 12 billion in a short period, and this public money is an issue that as citizens of this country, we should get worried of. The idea is good, but the problem was the way that it was implemented. So the last question that I was asked is about constituency industrial development centers. At the moment, I think there was an attempt to have all these industrial centers in every constituency. At the moment, there are about 200 of them that are completed. These centers were meant to accommodate these small businesses, small and medium businesses, so that shared facilities are put in those centers. And people are, the Chuakalis are able to come there and use these common facilities. Because buying sometimes equipment for use, individual, SME, is expensive. And that's why those industrial centers were built, that equipment could be put there, and the SMEs around will come there and share those particular equipment, which was a very good idea. And this started a long time ago